Yeah, I feel like the experimentation on the second disc is more around genre and playing with the genre in various genres that are coming
Yeah, I don't
through
even
there.
know that I call experimentation as much as exploration.
Sure.
She's like, look at my breadth.
Yeah.
I can really like touch on all of these things pretty freaking well.
Yeah, it's more like Harry Styles hopping through the 80s. I feel like this second disc is an exploration of different aspects of country music. So it's my brain. Okay.
Can't unhear it.
This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum. This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum. This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum. This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum.
Oh, welcome to the Backwards Beats podcast. I'm Carl Carter Fansteel.
And I'm Dan Woodard.
And you're catching us on the early end of the day, which is why we sound so young and spry.
Yeah, I don't usually see daylight out these windows.
I know. I had to get to a thing tonight, and so Dan was kind enough to make his way over here at the tender hour of 4:30 p.m.
Early!
This artist, Miranda Lambert.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to say. I've been struggling to say her name.
Okay, good. I feel better now because I say it in my head a lot, and I think it's a cool name, but Miranda Lambert. It's a little tongue twisty.
It is.
Well, regardless, she's a pretty big deal in her community, and she dropped this album called The Weight of These Wings back in 2016. It is a double album.
It is a double album. She had a lot to discuss.
Yeah, and I feel like she kind of got it all out there. There's something therapeutic about this album for sure.
Yeah, I would hope so. This was essentially after a very public breakup for their husband, or divorce, I should say, for Blake Shelton.
Mm-hmm. This
was her therapy session. He also released one as well. Beat her to the punch a little bit.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. There's a little vitriol here, but mostly it's just dealing with. She's even said this is like the 7 steps of grief. Like going through this.
Yeah, and I couldn't particularly pick out a moment when it felt like she had him in the crosshairs. She did a pretty good job about writing about lost love more so.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, like a personal attack where some artists do that.
Yeah, this isn't Here, My Dear.
No, not at all. But though Here, My Dear would have worked in context if said partner was, oh my gosh, famous artist as well. Right. And they could like hit back and forth.
Yeah.
Who has done that? There's definitely been couples who take shots across the bow. Like,
I'm going to make something up and say Sonny and Cher did it.
Okay.
But I don't know if they actually did.
Hot take. If you know about one of these or you want to add to our list of none right now, you can hit us up at
backwardsbeatpodcast@gmail.com.
Or on the Instagram. We love our feedback.
At backwardsbeatspodcast.
And we would be happy to mention those on air as soon as we get more than 3 and we do a little bit of research.
Yeah.
But you know that exists.
I know Sonny and Cher had a public divorce and Cher didn't pull any punches. So I'm maybe right, but fact check me. I'm sure I'm making stuff up.
I guess Taylor and John did a little back and forth.
A little bit.
Right? She did a Dear John to his paper doll.
Yep. Lennon McCarthy.
Oh, there you go. So we have some, I mean, it may as well be. Talk about, that's a couple. That effectively a couple.
No, they were definitely writing songs about each other, at each other.
Yeah. At each other is the way to say it, by the way. Ooh, this could be a fun deep dive for down the road, maybe for season 2, or 3-side content. Anyway, we were tasked with listening to these 24 songs, and we did it pretty fast.
We did, but we should be able to spend at least 20 minutes per song on this, so sit tight.
Indeed. By the way, for those who are just hanging out here, welcome to season 2.
That's correct.
It's, not every day that we make it through an entire season of content and still want to do a project. So I don't know what there's metrics for like first-time business owners, or you open a restaurant, how long, where 7% of them make it through.
Yeah.
I wonder what the podcast metric is.
6 episodes.
6 episodes.
Yep.
That's when people give up?
Yep.
Oh, man, we're ironclad.
Yeah, we are guaranteed to succeed.
By episode 250.
That's correct.
Anything you want to tell us about the background of this album here, Dan?
Well, first of all, this is album number 480 on Rolling Stone Magazine's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time list, which if you're brand new to us, welcome. That's what we're doing. We're going backwards. That's why we're backwards beats through this list. And we're using the list that was circulated in 2023.
Yeah, they're pretty much bound to update a list from time to time, but we grabbed the one from 23, and that's going to be the one we stand by.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to pivot. We've committed.
We're in. And the funny part is that when we do finish this project in 2037, effectively, barring any casualties, that will still be the list we're talking about.
Yep. So before I get into the album really quick, Miranda was born in 1983 in Lindale, Texas.
My girl.
She grew up influenced by outlaw country music from her father's music collection. One of her favorite songs growing up is "Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys."
Hey.
Which actually that was one of my favorite songs when I was a little kid too.
Was it?
Yeah.
You and Miranda are soulmates.
We might be. We might be.
You could be her new Blake.
Yeah. Her father was in law enforcement, and I can't remember what her mother was into, but eventually they became private investigators, which is kind of cool.
Together?
Yeah. They're like private
Talk
eyes.
about couple goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dan just did the Charlie's Angel finger gun.
That's right. They actually ended up, because of the oil industry sort of taking a bit of a dip, they ended up having some hard times, which influenced some of her songwriting. Her father was also a musician in a country rock band. And basically, she started singing and writing songs about the age of 17 and learned guitar from her father. She actually entered the music scene at 16, just doing like talent shows and honky tonks, and had appeared on the Johnny High, country music review. And then she basically, just to get us really quickly through this, she released her first album independently in 2001. And I think the really important thing, I can go through all of her albums. I'm not going to go through all of the detail of this, but let's just say by the time she hit around 2006, I think it is. No, sorry, 2009. By 2009, she began her 6-year reign as the Country Music Association Female Vocalist of the Year. So she did 6 years of that. She beat out Reba McEntire for that accolade.
Just crushed people.
Yeah.
Who dethroned her?
I don't think she's dethroned yet.
Oh, wow. Oh, we got 6 year, 2009, 2000. No one's challenged her?
I don't think so, yeah.
She's still the GOAT?
Yeah.
We're like watching Tom Brady in his prime?
I think we are. I think we are. One other thing, skipping ahead, she's won some Grammys. She's very, very highly decorated and very well appreciated. One thing that's kind of cool is the name of her 5th album is pretty blazing, which is called Platinum.
Oh, man. Own it, girl.
Own it, which it did. It went there.
Yeah. Can you imagine not making platinum on your album called Platinum?
I know.
Ooh.
And by 2016, she'd established herself as really a leading figure in country with, number 1 hits, over 70 awards to her name.
She'll go down Hall of Fame for sure.
Yeah. We already mentioned Blake Shelton. She described this for us as, it's very painful, and she was kind of reclusive going into this. And during this time, she began a new relationship with R&B singer Anderson East, who co-wrote 2 tracks on this album and performs on this album as well.
Harmonies, I'm sure.
Harmonies, or potentially duet, depending on how you want to.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. And this album was released November 18th, 2016 as a double album. Disc 1 is known as The Nerve, and Disc 2 is known as The Heart. Something you missed if you look on Spotify.
That's a cool pickup right there.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, and I guess now kind of reflecting on it, that makes a little bit of sense.
It does, thematically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, do we have a concept albums?
I don't know. There are arcs for sure.
I found 1 or 2.
Yeah. And the lead single off of this, the song Vice, was certified double platinum. So
Yeah.
2 million copies of that song. Oddly enough, I didn't go too far. I should have looked further, but we were short on time. The album says certified platinum, but if I look on Wikipedia, it doesn't hit 1 million. So I'm not sure what version of platinum they mean.
I think in 2016, you're looking at the real foothold of streaming. I think it's convoluted the same way like cryptocurrency is still fairly convoluted in how things are counted or paid taxes. I wonder, sold copies for platinum, sure, that'll always be a standard, but how much of it was being streamed or how it was tracked, or like off of the various phone platforms, how you could buy on Apple Music or buy on whatever Android's Play Store is. I wonder how that all talks. I worry about that for a couple of years. Yeah,
there is an algorithm for sure. I think like 1,000 album streams is one sale or something like that.
Got it.
But it's seen something I've read.
Yeah, they definitely didn't come out of the trenches with that formula though.
Right.
That's in post. You figure that out because people come knocking at your door going, but look at my streaming content. Does that count for nothing?
Right. I think 1,000 streams of an album is kind of insane though.
Well, so if I purchased, I have albums I've purchased, CDs, tapes even, I've never listened to 40 times.
Right.
I don't know that I have many I've listened to 1,000 times. Well, if the 1,000 streams, 10-song album, 250, that still is pushing it on a couple of albums that I own. Half, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. That again, I'm maybe making that up. I definitely read it, whether it's 1,000 or 1,500 or 1,200. It was a number that was higher than I was expecting to see.
Well, who knows, man? It's a crazy world, but she's certainly recognized. I think is the thing to take away is somebody who walked in knowing very little about her.
Yeah.
She's respected in her community and for some good reasons.
Yeah. She also founded in 2008 the, what is it? It's the Mutt something or other. I'll look it up. It is the Mutt Nation Foundation, which is dedicated to animal welfare. So
can't hate that.
Yeah.
All right. There's the background.
There we go.
All right. We got a lot of content to get through today. We are going to take a quick break. We'll get it back.
Hi, I'm Steve. I write greeting cards the only way that makes sense, with complete and unrelenting immersion into the human experience. Most greeting card companies focus on holidays and significant life moments such as birthdays, weddings, graduations, anniversaries, and even loss. I'm taking my business to more specific and tailored markets. When I wanted to capture the burn victim market, I conducted thorough research. I doused myself in paraffin and lit myself on fire. I acquired third-degree burns across 60% of my body just to write, "Sorry to hear about the turkey fryer incident. You may look like Elephant Man, but hey, juicy bird." Or, "Sorry about the industrial accident. At least you don't need a Halloween costume." And my favorite, "Keep it toasty." Those lines didn't come from market research, they came from the trauma ward. I had to smell my own skin cooking so the card could say the right thing. Next, I wanted to hit the chemically dependent market. I didn't rely on secondhand accounts. I spun out and got addicted to heroin. I shot up behind a Jiffy Lube, collapsed at a Ross Dress for Less. Then I got clean just long enough to relapse so I could bring you "Sorry you nodded off during your daughter's recital. You actually made it this year. At least your wife's boyfriend didn't break your jaw when he punched you in the face." Or, "Congrats on the collapsed vein. You're running out of limbs. What an accomplishment. Remember, you still have your eyelids." And, "Nice swipe. Good job stealing the $11.23 from that single mom's purse while she lay in her own puke. I don't think her baby needs formula." We also have cards for botched cosmetic surgery, Crypto cash survivors, accidental arsonists, failed magicians, people banned from Planet Fitness, vasectomy regret, competitive eaters with permanent damage, children of failed clowns, like me, people with facial tattoos, DUI anniversaries, and people who fall for fake jobs on Craigslist. I lost my teeth, my credibility, and most of my social circle, but I gained insight and also Hep C. Authentic sympathy cards by Steve. Real cards for real people.
Man, wearing Crocs, driving a Subaru. Okay. The first disc, actually, she split this up pretty nicely. We're rolling 12 songs on each, so the symmetry is there.
Yep.
We're going for the half and half formula. And the first tune is called Runnin' Just in Case.
Yeah, this is on disc 1, The Nerve.
That's right. And this is the title, no, not the title track, but as the first tune, it has a pretty good bump in listens, just under 7 million on Spotify.
Yeah, not the hottest track, but it's doing fine.
Agreed with you on that. Say more.
So I'm going to start right off with my hot takes, because there's a lot of stuff I really do like about this album. This album was produced by Frank Liddell, Eric Massey, and Glenn Worf. And I'm going to start by saying I feel like we had, and there are two different people credited for mixing, the first two. And I believe one person's job was to mix everything above 250 hertz, and the other mother effer mixed the lower end at the bottom of a swimming pool.
Just, hey, here's a 15.
Right.
You can't physically hear it, but you can feel it if you have the right speakers.
Yes.
Where were those speakers?
I think they're on the other side of your neighbor's like firewall.
Have you ever heard a submarine engine?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did too.
Yeah.
In this song.
Yeah. And in many songs.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because you know she has the resources. Mm-hmm. You know she has the time. My guess, and I'm gonna hold this for the album across the albums across the board, are the discs. I think there is a large attempt here, because think about divorce, right? You're kind of rewriting yourself.
Yep.
I think there's a really, really big attempt to kind of change the way her music sounds, the country-backed music. She wants a new, fresh look, and I think she's willing to step out and try to make new sound with this, to stick out, stand out, take back some music for herself, maybe.
Yeah, and I actually appreciate that. There's a lot of creativity thrown into this.
Yeah, there's some production stuff I really like.
Yeah.
I am not an overall fan of the general mix here. Mm-hmm. It's like a really crazy, crispy. I want to make it very modern, but hold on to like really gritty rock. And for some reason, like you should have gone to the 5 Finger Death Punch catalog and listened there. You shouldn't have listened. It feels split. It literally feels split.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's why I said whoever's you got the low end, man. Everything under 250, I can't hear that. So
I feel like they had too many toys. They're like, hey, you want to try mixing in like Atmos 5.1.8? You know, like.
I think there's that, and to the credit of this. So again, I think there's a lot of creativity that's put into this, and there's a lot of arrangement that's going on. And I believe that the producers were giving the musicians more freedom than they're usually given. And actually, this is where the album, in certain cases, I'm talking album, not just specifically this song, but there's bits of it in this song. There are backing parts, arranging parts that they add in instrumentation and they add in parts, but they're kind of like, just like, hey, feel the space. Mm-hmm. There are parts like, you and I have built tracks together, and like the first time you play it, you throw everything at the wall.
But then you have to refine it.
And that doesn't happen many times on this album.
Agreed. And so you end up with a lot of kind of smeary ambiance at times. And she has a distinct voice. She kind of has like 2 styles of singing, I'd say.
Okay, let me hear your versions.
I'm not going to try singing.
No, but you're.
Yeah. You have like knocking over whiskey, like kind of like the growly her. Mm-hmm. And you have like this sweet, I can't say classically trained country because I don't know that she wasn't, but more traditional. And it's a pretty it's a pretty grave switch.
Yeah.
She's in one tongue or another.
Yeah. So she's from Texas, and she embraces being from Texas.
Kind of brassy in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as though like Tammy Wynette, Dolly Parton, and Sheryl Crow all had a love child together.
Precisely.
And which is good. I like all the shade I'm throwing is to the producers so far.
Yeah. Know how to center your picture.
Yeah. I'm going to mention one artist on the album, which is the drummer, Matt Chamberlain.
I'm a fan.
You know, Matt Chamberlain from Edie Brickell.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it wouldn't be an episode if you didn't mention Edie Brickell.
Sure. He's a phenomenal drummer. He played in the SNL band for a bit.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's worked with pretty much everyone, it feels like.
Yeah, he's so good. And unfortunately, because one of the mixers like hates drummers, like he's mixed really weird in many of these tracks.
But it's hilarious because I can almost hear all the ones he's on without looking at the liner notes.
Yeah.
Because the signature you'll catch song after song after song is him really going hard on tom-toms. The producer's encouraging him to play the most melodic part of the drum kit that unfortunately sometimes gets produced into a mud puddle.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I think they're giving him a lot of freedom.
Absolutely.
And then there are certain times where they should dial him back.
Yeah. Song structure wise, I don't feel like we need to beat on this one much, but it's a more
9-bar chorus.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I was going to say, how would you count that perfectly? Is it are you going to go for this like 6? Because the second verse you had that 8th note feel.
Yeah.
Right. So 8 or 4.
Well, what it is, here's where it's offset is that it starts on the 1 chord. Starts on the 4 chord for 3 bars. So she extends a phrase for 3 bars, and that's why it feels off kilter.
Yep.
She lands on the downbeat of measure 8, and then just to round it out, you just need that extra measure just to
And that
bring
gives
us
you
back.
the space to bring it back. Yeah.
So that's like the math behind it. And I think it's really cool. The fact that instead of it being a 2-bar chord or a 4-bar chord, it's a 3-bar chord before they go from the 4 chord to the 3 minor. Very nice.
Having spent a little bit of time playing around country adjacent things, this is not uncommon. It's a pretty popular song because you have to think from a lot of this, especially like Texas, right? Think about, the honky tonkin out in like Nashville is very different than actually like the dancing that they do in Texas, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much slow waltz. There's so much stuff in 3.
Yep.
People have learned how to phrase that way. I have no problems with the physical way the song's written. Unfortunately, as a opening track on your first disc on your big double album, which shows some confidence, this one fell flat for me.
Yeah. Her performance is great. I'll say this. Her performance is pretty great on all these songs.
I've got no problems with Miranda Lambert's performance on any of her tunes.
Yeah.
Period. And so I think we agree there.
Yeah.
Which brings me to, I think, a whole different feel. Song 2, Highway Vagabond.
Yeah. It's mixed meter.
Yeah.
It's 3/4/4/4 in the verse. Not the only time it happens on this album, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
And we've talked about mixed meter in the folk genre as being a way to extend a phrase. And that's what's happening here. The song's ostensibly in 3, but they're letting the phrase breathe because the 4/4 is like she lands on beat 1 of the 4/4 and there's no vocal.
You almost
information
effectively get 11 beats because it's 3/4, 4/4, 4/4, 3/4.
Yeah.
It's not just doing the 7 thing. Otherwise, you could count it differently.
Yeah.
I love the groove in this song. This should have been the opener.
Yeah. Yeah. Highway Vagabond, man. This is really good. Again, this is the first real instance where it feels like there's a lot of noodling that's happening.
The band definitely got a lot of leash to work with here.
Yeah.
But I like the groove. It sounds like something like if we were all a couple beers in and came back after playing a show and we all wanted to sit down in the gear and someone had some like fuzz pedal going. Like you could have some fun with this one. It's gritty.
Yep.
This is version 1 of Miranda's vocals I was talking about.
Yeah.
And she's, what really gets me, some of the writing, a lot of the use of metaphor and stuff across her songs, I think can get a little cheesy. But I really dig into her when she starts talking about experience and like kind of that earnesty and owning, bad habits and kind of where she came from. There's authenticity there that I really like. I wish she'd almost stick more to that side. That's more that Sheryl Crow side for me,
Yeah. You know how movies now, when they say they have an R rating, they have like the reasons why. Mm-hmm. And I love the like contextual smoking or period smoking they put as one of the reasons it's rated R. So just so you know, in case you're triggered, she mentions cigarettes a lot on this album.
Oh, quite a bit.
Yeah.
And there's quite a bit of kind of just like late night bar play between the cigarettes, booze, and sex. It's very much it's a lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I personally like that a famous superstar 6-time over CMA award winner is going to write about that at this point in her career.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
I love the way the song is structured and everything. It's just a very good song.
Sick. In the same vein, you move into the song 3, Ugly Lights.
Okay. This is not Devil's Haircut.
I wouldn't say it is Devil's Haircut.
So this is the first instance of her having overdriven vocals.
Well, and unfortunately, not the first time or the last time it'll happen on this album. There's one thing to warm up a preamp and have, a little bit of, overdriven vocal so it breaks up beautifully. This is like you stuck her through a Boss DS1 pedal and called it a day.
Yeah, and it feels like it's their first time trying this technique. And it doesn't fit the song.
No, it doesn't fit her vocal style either.
Yeah. There's a song on here where it's perfect for it. I think there are 4 on here where they do this trick. This is not the one.
You don't need to dress up her already like a punchy, kind of like aggressive, like gonna lean a little bit into my twang.
Yeah.
With distortion.
Yeah. And sorry, this is the song Ugly Lights. I don't think we said the song name.
Oh, I thought I did. No?
Maybe you did.
Yeah, Ugly Lights, song 3.
Yeah.
Not generally loved, by the way, on the streams. So far, Running Just in Case is on Spotify, 7 million-ish. You punch up on Highway Vagabond to almost 10, which is against my typical paradox. Mm-hmm. Almost always, the first song holds the most because it's the first song.
Right.
Ugly Lights drops down to sub 5 million.
Yeah, because it doesn't sound very good.
I agreed. I don't love the song. I do love her messaging again. I do kind of like her owning the fact that she's, the girl bartenders don't like hanging out, bumming off her cigarettes to little couples and the ugly lights come on. Like, I like that messaging. You know what? I feel for it because I'm that person too.
Yeah.
In a weird ass way. I feel like comfortable with this and I appreciate the famous person saying it out loud.
Yeah, the ugly lights are definitely last call, time to get out.
And so she did a good job writing a message here. Unfortunately, they forgot to write a good sounding song behind it.
Yeah, and here's another thing. The drums are a train wreck in this song.
Ugh.
They're a train wreck. And here's what I feel like happened. I feel like the producer told, I'll assume Matt's playing drums on this. Hey, try 2 different approaches. And then they just used both. So first 2 verses, it's basically like 2 and 4 a hi-hat with the tambourine that comes in.
Yep.
First chorus comes in a standard train beat.
Let's say this is a train beat through and through for a while.
Until it's not. Third verse goes back to the 2 and 4, except it's mostly just the tambourine for some reason. And then the fourth verse is a halftime country funk.
Yeah.
And the chorus is also a halftime country funk, which would be fine, but all the rest of the tracks are identical. There's no change to the musical information that's coming from the other
kind
band
of like
members.
Copy pasty with that, but let's move the drums around.
It makes no sense. It's confusing. It's distracting.
I don't see the cut time over the train beat ever being a good option. It's almost always you should play in cut time, and then when you want to hype people, go to the train beat.
Right. Or have the whole band go.
Well, precisely. If you're gonna get married to one style, everybody has to be married to the style.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it was fragmented in its recording? Like they're just like, okay, we're bringing the drummer today, and we'll bring in the guitar players in a few weeks, or like maybe he came in afterwards.
Right. So this and these little weird sections of musical data, because that's what it looks like. Is sometimes these background things. Nothing is poorly played. I do like the fact that there isn't really much of a click on this album. Tempos are all over the map.
They're kind of all over the place.
And I actually like that. But this is where the album is like Here, My Dear, because it's almost like you ever go to a jam and it's like, all right, we're going to play Mary Jane's Last Dance for like 7 minutes.
Help me, yes.
Right? And everyone's just like, all right, now I'm going to make it better by doing my own thing. And it's never better, but it's fun because you're jamming.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's happening in some of these songs.
This song lacks a pocket.
Yep.
In the simplest way, and also in the most complicated way, because they have the resources. And as you said, just like we said earlier, there's not a bad performance from Miranda on this album, personally. I don't think there's bad musical performances. I think there's bad musical ideas.
Yeah.
It's like you could have the best egg, and you could have the best Skittles, and you could have the best celery, but together they're going to taste like crap together, right? Like,
I debate that.
okay.
I'm going to try that.
Culinary Dan's going to go for it.
Yeah.
It's just, there's the element doesn't always, the best players don't always make for the best cohesion.
Yeah. And this is the job of the producer. Again,
Agreed entirely.
I'm not blaming a single instrumentalist on here. I'm blaming the producers for letting this happen because the song in and of itself is fine. It's not great. It's one of the stronger songs, but there aren't really many bad songs on here.
No, and that's the funny part is it doesn't like sting me. I want to like this song more than I do.
Yep.
Let's scooch on. You Wouldn't Know Me.
Same problem with the drums. We come in, we have like sticks on the rims during the opening verse, and then they're like, oh, we'll do something like that, but we'll just like put in a drum machine instead or hand percussion.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I know these people, well, two of the producers are Berklee graduates, so they're trained. So they're trained. I believe that they train better than this. I'm sorry, producers. You sucked.
Yeah.
On many of these things. There are good elements, and we can get
They
into
took,
that.
I appreciate the risks of some of the timbres taken in
Yes.
both this and Ugly Lights. They're, for someone who's lauded as a country star, there's a lot of rock elements on this album.
Yes.
When I say, by the way, for the rest of this episode, when we say this album, we mean all 24 songs.
Yes.
I'm not going to say 2 discs every time.
Yeah.
And so I think they're getting some cool choice sounds. They're just having blending issues here.
Yeah, and I do compliment the creativity that they're going for in that more, I guess, raw, unrefined feel. Mm-hmm. I think you can have raw and unrefined and not have it be, ADD.
Less elements would help.
Yeah.
That sometimes is the big case here.
Yep.
You could say the same for the next tune, which is We Should Be Friends. However, I actually think that this is when it turns and goes right for the first time on the album.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And actually, whoever was producing the 250 hertz and below must have had to come up for air because actually the low end doesn't sound bad on this one.
It's not droning.
Yeah.
Furthermore, I think that this song is one of the most sound constructions of modern music. Like if you look at the structure of it, the intros, the outros, the instrumentation, her performance is fantastic.
She's leaning into her Texas accent.
Thank God.
I've heard her speak. She definitely has a twang. She's emphasizing that. This is a fan service song, I think.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I think this song is written for her. This is a reflection. I have notes saying, this is clever because she's telling you who she is. Because the notion that you should be friends means here's who I am.
Right.
And she lists them off. And there's some really cool elements. I mean, I like the effects being used across this tune. Mm-hmm. Good solo.
Yep.
Her values and beliefs are aligned with exactly who you think she is.
Yeah. Here's my list. If you like this, we should be friends.
Oh man! And then the whole line with the father thing. Now that you've told me her relationship in the background with her father, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. No, I really like this song. The reason I'm saying it's fan service, maybe it's not fan service, but this is written to me, maybe not intentionally, but I feel like once you're at a certain level, you start writing songs that are designed to resonate with the live audience. And then there's that type of song, and there's the songs that are the really personal. This is just a piece of art that I care about. And that's what I mean by fan service. This is one we should be friends. I can see people holding the beer over their head and singing along.
Oh, totally.
At the club.
And guess what? The numbers support that. We're coming off of You Wouldn't Know Me at under 4 million listens to We Should Be Friends at 24.5 million on Spotify.
Yeah.
That says something.
It was written to be a hit.
And it succeeded.
Yep.
And I'll fall for that trap. Mm-hmm. I like it. And there's elements of, Ugly Lights and Highway Vagabond I really enjoy. I think those are probably Highway Vagabond's the strongest song in the album up until now.
Yeah.
This is, the crowned king for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else?
No.
Then we move into Pink Sunglasses.
Okay, let's turn on the overdrive again.
Oh, God, man, this effect is so obnoxious.
It works better in this song than it does in Ugly Lights.
I agree with you, but man, it still isn't great.
Yeah.
But the song is so weird that like the chord choices and and the kind of the flow and the beat of it, that I see how the effect can work.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that they do with the overdriven vocals that I appreciate is they dial it back. When she starts belting, they're riding that level.
Oh yeah, it's automated for sure.
Yeah, because if they kept the distortion as hot as they do when she's singing, more chill, it would just sound like garbage.
Yeah.
Or it sounded like Devil's Haircut.
It could also sound like the band Garbage.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you think about it, they're my biggest note here. I could not get this earworm out. Do you know where I'm going with this?
I think I do.
This is literally the melody from In Bloom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Da-na-na, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's produced almost like they're chasing Nirvana.
Yeah.
And so there's my garbage call back into the
Yeah.
It's there. It's almost stolen.
Yeah. We'll hit Courtney Love later.
Oh, will we?
Yeah, we will.
I love this.
Yeah. I also love, here's because Matt Chamberlain's awesome. There's this, so this is in 6,
Yeah.
right? It's a slow shuffle. And Matt Chamberlain does this, like, I call it a falling downstairs drum fill. And what I mean by that is the song is, and he straightens out the beat. So it's like it's like someone falling
like
down
you lost your footing.
Yes. And I love those used tastefully. It fits perfectly in this song.
He's just a fantastic drummer.
Yeah.
I will say this album so far, if you were to get to here where we are, song 6, we're halfway through the first disc. You're looking at 6 very different grooves and feels. Mm-hmm. So kudos on variety.
Yep.
You're not going to solidify a monumental album that way, in my opinion. You need something that kind of resonates as they haven't established a thing yet, right?
Yeah.
There's you look at some of our favorite albums. We could look back to like Continuum, which we gushed about. If you want to look back to last season, by John Mayer. What they do really well on Continuum, though each song is a very different groove, there is kind of some glue that holds it all together for me, right? There's a profile and a sound.
A continuum, if you will.
Ooh, I see. Here, it's like we've got 6 very different songs, and they're just waiting for the dart to hit. They do it pretty effectively at We Should Be Friends. I hate that right now the only things that we have in common to create some sort of a glue across this one are Matt Chamberlain's tom-toms and obnoxious overdrive on vocals.
Yeah, because I'm doing a lot of complaining here. I will say I find myself enjoying listening to this in spite of some of this stuff.
I agree. I just feel like sometimes the backing band is taking away this from Miranda.
I agree. And this is also contextual to sound source. On AirPods, some of the stuff is almost unlistenable.
Some of it's crystal clear, though.
Right. I have better studio headphones. Sounds good. Coming into your studio here,
we're listening through Yamaha HS8s. Pretty, run of the mill, but very good monitors.
Right. Very flat right there.
Yep. And it's a whole different experience. The car speakers, there's something going on here in the production. And I think sometimes, which we've learned recently too, is when you have masterboard compression happening, each sound source handles that differently.
Yeah. So I feel like now we can get away with this because we're not making a penny off of this.
No, and there's just 2 of us doing all of it.
Right. So when you are already with a Grammy Award winning artist, if you didn't take the CD out to your car and listen to it, that's on you, right?
Yeah.
Like we do that.
Yeah. Well, not the CD, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Like we'll listen through several sound sources just to see kind of what happens, and I'll get a call a day after we put something, it's supposed to come out the day before, and Dan's like, this part's overdriven.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully you've heard over the season, for you fans of ours, hopefully the audio quality is improved. Like, I don't think we've actually released anything that's been bad, but I think we're getting better with our levels because we're listening ourselves to make sure we do that. I don't think this happened.
Yeah, it does feel, if anything else, it feels like there was a lack of communication. It lacked what it could have lacked is a real producer. someone to sit in the middle and really stitch it all together and direct it. Because if you're just using the sounds of several different engineers and trusting your musicians, and you have a veteran at the helm who also is used to leading stuff, because Blake Shelton talks like a producer all the time, and she's probably trying to shake some of that off and produce her own thing. It's just messy.
Yeah. Now, because of that, I've gone and listened to some of these tracks live. It comes together much better because the bones of these songs are all pretty good.
I agree entirely.
Yeah.
Pink Sunglasses, I couldn't shake the Nirvana thing.
Yeah.
It's my ear, it caught my ear, and it's there. Yeah, it's like a pretty country pop anthem version of a Nirvana song.
Yeah.
Getaway Driver.
Getaway Driver.
This is our first real country feeling song on this disc.
Yeah. Even though the opening chords to this, I get Love on the Weekend by John Mayer.
Sure.
And I get vibes of Jewel.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. All good. And this is the first co-write with Anderson East.
He's our R&B new
R&B
husband.
and her boyfriend. Yep.
Boyfriend.
Yep.
Got it.
I like this.
You know what I like the most about it?
What's that?
The really wild bass fuzz phaser they open this song on.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's weird.
It's cool.
Yeah. And I was reading a critical review of this, not that we're being critical at all. And the critic said, the album requires deep listening. There's a lot, right? And so we just said, there's a lot of information being presented. It just doesn't all make sense. They introduced pizzicato strings for like 4 bars.
Yeah.
And they're good.
Yeah. Well, once again, good players. The pedal steel players killing it on this one.
Yeah.
This to me, I wasn't hoping for a typical sounding country song, but by now you really needed one.
Yeah.
Whereas like Show Us You Still Got It, because right now you've taken a lot of risks in the first half dozen.
Yeah.
Look, you got like car and truck metaphors, hurrah. Like check. You got pedal steel, hurrah, check. No distorted vocals, check.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a pretty easy listening tune.
Yeah. I like the male backing vocals that come in during the chorus and then continue on.
You got to assume that's him.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I couldn't quite get that.
If she's writing it with them,
Yeah.
it's a safe assumption.
Yeah. And she switches gender roles during the song too. So she changes perspective.
Played around with gender roles.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, there's some storytelling, which is nice in a sense. This is what I thought we would have more of on this album.
Yeah.
And this is actually kind of where the album on the first disc, an arc is over. Mm-hmm. The nerve part, I think the first half, in my opinion, of the first disc was very like rowdy. Here's where I come from. Headspace, kind of distorted, literally.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like the gender role switch is where she wants to she's now looking at, her lover or whatever, and who's trouble prone and, ready to like whisk her away in this context.
Yeah.
Nice song.
Yeah. It's a good tune. And it couldn't have come a song too soon.
Yeah.
Let's scooch over to the album winner here, which is the tune Vice. You mentioned it was the big single, and I think the numbers support that at almost 80 million listens.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the first single, and it's number 1 or number 2 on the album as far as.
Oh crap! By the way, the big fuzz phaser bass, that's Vice. That's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not the other. It would not have fit. It's my bad.
Okay. Yeah.
But this is the one. Listen to the first 3 seconds of this song, y'all.
Yeah, and this is definitely where the album takes a turn for the darker.
Yes, but I'll support it because I like this tune. Mm-hmm. This is where all of those toys and effects and production styles that we've been literally crapping on for almost 30 minutes suddenly pay off. I'd like to think this is what they were shooting for,
right?
Because it turned out okay.
Yeah, like nothing wrong with any of the effects they use except for how they use them and when they use them.
Agreed. And this one to me, though, I'm not knocking down the door over this one.
No. I have a little quote from her on this. This is from an interview that she did with Billboard magazine, and she's like, I feel like when you listen to this song, there's really nothing to read into. It says what it says. Everyone has a vice. Everyone goes through a time in their life when they run into a little bit more, and then sometimes when they don't. When I'm journaling my life, I'm putting it on paper to a melody and allowing people to hear it. I can't worry about someone might twist into it because it's not like I'm hiding anything. Every record I've ever made has been a reflection of where I am at that point in my life, however old I am. I've never held back, but this time, with what happened to be going on in my life, being honest was never really a choice. Everybody knew it anyway, so I just said, I'm going to journal it. In the good days and the bad days, I'll just use it for my art.
I'd say that fits exactly where we stand right here.
Yeah.
I like her. Regardless of the outcome of this album, which I'll make my decision at the end. Mm-hmm. I like her. I got a lot of respect.
Yep.
I think that this tune pulls from a production style. I think these guys are pulling from a lot of production styles. There's a lot of templates out there that they're playing around with. You're not gonna like this, or you're gonna like this. This is like really refined Pixies.
Yeah, but that's not a good thing.
No, I agree entirely. It's a lot of like layering of dynamic areas. It's like you have 3 different rooms you're recording in, and one's super far away, one's middle, and one's up front, and there's no blend between them. Right. They sound like 3 different rooms.
Yeah.
There's a incredible amount of reverb across everything. Mm-hmm. The drumming's good. The drumming's still good.
Yep.
No surprise there. There's just kind of like this yelly, roomy, vocally thing going on at times that I'm not sure she's big enough for.
So we talked about this a little bit on Bonnie Raitt, where not that this is the same as that, but Bonnie Raitt on Nick of Time, we felt like the production and the producers held her back to keep her more in a certain bucket. Mostly it was to clean things up. Now, there's a lot of mess on this album, but I feel like sometimes they add information. I just keep using information. They add information to the track and they retract information, but they don't do much with dynamics. So all they're using is arranging, and that's okay. You don't have to get louder to have to grow dynamic, but I feel like there's an opportunity for her on some of these songs to lean into what she can do. And it just doesn't, like this song, I kind of wish I got more out of her.
You can hear the compressors hitting.
Yeah.
Like literally stopping her from rising.
Yeah.
And that end part, they suddenly throw her in room number 3, as I spoke about. That's, a football field away, drench her in digital reverb, and then have her kind of scream, yell parts that she should have just belted up front.
Right. That's
not her fault.
No.
But it's distracting. And instead, what there are the information that I'm getting a lot of, there's all this like guitar feedbacky thing that they're doing.
Right.
But it doesn't sound like, at least when the Pixies do it, it's like deafeningly crazy. Like, and I'm not a big Pixies fan, but I'll give credit where it's due. That's a sound. That's a style.
Yep.
They essentially were one of the things that I think went on to like spawn shoegaze, like just noise rock. And this is like tame noise rock. So like, it's like,
yeah, the Pixies did it better.
It's got no teeth.
Yeah.
But it's there. It's still noise. It's still eating up that space.
And like we talked about Jagged Little Pill when we did the Shakira episode. And if you listen to You Ought to Know, there's noise tracks in there, but Glenn Ballard does an amazing job of getting that noise. If you listen to the very beginning when the brushes are coming on the drums, it's just feedback while Alanis is singing. But that feedback works.
It was placed sonically in the right place.
Yes. And here it's just data.
It is data. But at the end of the day, I see why this song has its appeal. Because at least for the first verse and chorus or 2, right? You can channel your Miranda. It's just the fact that it doesn't build to anything towards the end enough for me.
Right.
That's where I'm going to give it a negative score a little bit.
Yeah. And we are definitely, we're listening with very critical ears on this. I can see why people would gloss over all of the crap that we're saying.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Not a bad written song.
Yep.
Let's scooch on to Smoking Jacket.
Yeah. So she admits her vices, and now she's looking for a nicotine addict who will make a habit out of loving her till it hurts.
There you get him.
Yeah.
I love the vibe of this song.
Yeah.
I think that this is one of my favorites on the first disc. It was not regarded terribly high. It's sub 5 million listens. And you'd think for a stream through after coming off of Vice, I think that this is a great follow up tune. Yet it doesn't seem like the listener base is going for that.
Yeah, but the soundscape is a relief.
The soundscape is a Stevie Wonder song.
That's true.
It's so funny. The amount of melodies and chord progressions. Now, mind you, I'm a big believer in the whole, there's a finite amount of chord progressions, and I'm not here to call out copyrights or anything. But some things are just distinctly just enough for the city, and so is this.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And then another earworm that really drove me kind of crazy that I can't unhear now, Natasha Bedingfield's song Unwritten.
Okay.
That melody is not only borrowed, but pretty much sang verbatim on both sides of the first chorus.
You're right.
Like, literally. This might be our soundbite. Like, this is worth a listen. Y'all know the song from Laguna Beach or whatever it was, or The Hills, or I don't remember what Natasha Bedingfield. So, the song Unwritten was a theme song. It was major. It was pretty much her calling card. This melody ripped verbatim.
Yeah, I think you're right. I hadn't made that connection, but
I can't unhear it now.
yeah.
I love that song. Unwritten's a great tune. And so I can't unhear it. But I do think that the rhythm section, Smoking Jacket, is cool. I like the tempo. For a song called Smoking Jacket, it sounds like its title, and that pleases me.
Yeah.
It brings
I agree.
joy.
Yeah. And I like the steel guitar on this one too.
Oh, yeah. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It feels like the second half of this disc, they start to refine a lot more. But and that's for the better sometimes.
Yeah.
The trade-off here is you start to lose a little bit of that creativity, maybe.
Right. So the reason I was smiling when you said that is, did they refine, or did they run out of time to add everything in the kitchen sink into it?
Well, there's a reason on every one of these last songs, I pretty much have a parallel to another existing song at the time. So it's a little wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe. Who knows? I mean, God, this is why I do think it has some sort of a concept background, and you'll hear this towards the second disc. Things do fall off in a sense where you're like, you could have just chosen your 12 best and put out a pretty good album.
Right.
And probably had more time to work out some of these kinks and mastering, and Dan and I would not be sitting here talking about your production so much.
Right. And then lo and behold, hopefully, we won't affect your downloads.
Yes. Yeah. Our listener base is going to tank you.
Yeah.
For the record, we like Miranda Lambert.
Yeah.
Support her. Anything else on Smoking Jacket?
Nah.
All right. Pushing time.
Back to mixed meter.
Back to mixed meter indeed.
It's nice. And this is a duet. I call this a duet, even though Anderson East isn't credited. I feel like he should be.
Yeah, he does quite a bit of singing.
Yeah. She wrote this ballad with Irish singer Foy Vance. And to me, this has like one of the most heartfelt moments on it. There's let's see. If it has to end in tears, I hope it's in 60 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
such a nice line.
Yeah. And again, another beautiful steel guitar part.
Yeah, this one's great. You can't go wrong with fingerstyle acoustic guitar over a great country performance.
Yeah. And I feel like for the ballads, it's hard to do, overdriven vocals on a ballad.
We're safe from these.
Yeah. So we're being protected here. Sonically, it sounds pretty good. There's still some smushy bass and drum stuff that's going on.
It's the freedom, I think, being able to use a lot of that kit. It's almost like in the pop world, we need that, kind of secondhand eighth note sound source that's played by a hi-hat or something adjacent. And so when you lose that as a backbone, I think people lose confidence.
It could be that. I think it's the way it's mixed though, because I have to imagine Matt's drum set is probably like a vintage marching snare detuned. Like it's this big fat thwack, right?
This guy's an unstuffed 26-inch bass drum. Like
yeah, boom, yeah. It probably sounds awesome
in the room.
Yeah,
and everybody's gushing over it.
And I just don't think the producers knew how to handle it.
To send it back to us.
Yeah.
Well, it's true. You work in a world of samples and and modern production. I feel like half the tracks that I send out to mix, we end up subbing the drums out using a triggering program that we paid $300 for. Like, it's so, this was kind of, you could tell they're trying to use probably very good hardware and very good software and very good microphones and a very nice facility to capture very nice instruments. And it wasn't there. But this tune, the song and the emotion and the feel and the performance in this tune override, in my book, the not favorite production.
Yeah, if this isn't my favorite, it's my second favorite song on the album.
Yeah, it's top 3 for me for sure. I will, real quick, one note here. You hip to the tune Paper Doll by John Mayer?
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think if you mark the year, Mayer may have had her by a year or two on this one.
Might have.
Because I think Paper Doll came out after Battle Studies.
I think so.
And this is dead on.
It is.
Sorry. Gotta call it when I hear it.
Yeah.
All right, scooching on over to our covered wagon.
Well, if this sounds like something else, it's because it's a cover.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was recorded by Danny O'Keefe in 1971. And what's interesting, I actually listened to the original when I figured that out. And this is kind of like this, I don't know, it's like hippie friendly, like country rock, right?
Yeah. I wrote, If Dancing in the Street Were a Country Song.
Dancing in the Streets verse.
You got it too?
Yeah.
I love when this happens.
Yeah. I don't like the overdriven vocals again.
Nope.
But what they swap out, the original recording has like this barroom piano. And here it's basically overdriven slide guitar is what's replacing the piano.
Which I'm cool with.
Yeah,
you can feed me Robert Randolph stuff any day of the week. I'm down.
Yeah, I get Sheryl Crow vibes for sure. And she's cited Sheryl Crow as an influence for sure. And I get that.
All over this album. And it's the stuff where she sounds like her are the highlights.
Yeah, and one of the things that makes me happy about listening to this album is because I was hearing that, I started listening to a bunch of Sheryl Crow as well because...
She's the best.
Yeah. I also get, in this one, she's changing vocal style. I get like a combination of like Bonnie Raitt meets Melissa Etheridge rasp in her voice. And you don't usually hear that from her. She usually stays pretty clean.
Yep.
And that rasp would sound better without the overdrive.
Yeah. Why are you putting a polish where it does not need to be?
Yep. And I do like the song, but this also has more Here, My Dear, like information from the background instrumentalists.
For me, I can pass right over this one. Yeah. It just doesn't. By now, especially after 11, you're 11 songs in, I'm like, okay, cool,
yeah.
Next.
Yep.
After about 40 seconds.
Sure.
No horribly poor execution here. Just the tune doesn't grip me. And why? It's not like it resonates with any words that tell her story. It is a cover.
Right. I like her performance on it, though, quite a bit.
I like her performance on everything.
Yeah.
Use My Heart, the last tune on disc 1.
So to me, I think it's a great way to wrap up the disc.
Yeah.
Like layered, just lovely. She's working with her longtime buddy, Ashley Monroe, and they, I should have brought this up at the beginning, but they formed a band together. I forget what it's called. I'll look it up. But so she has a side gig. So she's essentially Linda Ronstadt.
Oh, wow.
Right?
For the Eagles?
Well, no. So Linda Ronstadt, Dolly Parton, and Emmylou Harris
That's right.
did a trio.
Super group.
And so she has a trio. I'll find it when we talk about this later. But that's who her partner is on this song. And I think this is a very nice sort of touching end to the album.
Yeah, it's also a top 3er of mine. However, there's a lot of great elements I want to discuss just briefly.
Yeah.
They have this gnarly, like low, perfect sounding Telecaster line that just kind of carries the second half of the tune.
I was curious if it was a tele or like a baritone guitar.
It could have been a baritone, but I mean, whatever it is, it's emulating this deep Western. Like it just sounds freaking perfect.
Yeah.
It very well could be a baritone. But the other piece I really like is the tom-toms in the song are awesome.
Yeah.
Whoever was engineering that day, bravo, you did capture a pretty good sounding. I'm assuming Matt Chamberlain on the kit. These kind of deep groove that serves the song really, really well.
Yeah.
I have a real problem with this massive screeching sound at like the 30-second mark. There's like this, I don't know what it was like. Someone's like pedal board kirked out, and they're like, no, keep that in.
Right. That's cool.
No, it's not.
That's raw.
That sucked. Get that out of your song.
No, man, it's raw. It's good.
That is no place in your otherwise really good song.
No, you're wrong. It's great. It's creative. It's art, man.
Yeah. What time signature was that screech in, Dan?
Yeah. 13/16. There's a little ooh interlude. She goes like 6/4/1. Just lovely. Just pure. Her voice is beautiful.
The progression serves the song perfectly. Yeah. And is it just me, or is this the first time where she really just goes for the curse?
Yeah, it basically just
right in the middle of this verse. You haven't heard it yet. She's like, and I don't give a shit, or whatever it is. You're like, whoa.
Yeah. That's the wrap up.
Yeah.
The last verse.
I keep going back to him, but it reminds me of like, you're in the middle of Slow Dancing Burning Room, and he just drops that, you'll be a bitch because you can. Right. He puts a little extra something on it. She does it here. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. She does.
I think the latter is so funny. My first two listens, I would have chosen the former half of disc 1 over the latter half. Mm-hmm. In hindsight, I think I'd take the latter over the former.
Yeah. And to me, I think it's because, like you said, the production gets more refined. We'll chalk it up to that. But I think that's what it is.
More country too.
Yeah.
It like starts to go back towards the roots I assumed would be here.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels really good. I feel pretty good by the time this is wrapping up on song number 12.
Yeah. Honestly, I could pull 8 songs out of disc 1 and then give me the masters. I'll remix them. And you got a pretty good album right there.
Yeah. I think a lot of people agree too.
Indeed. That's a great time to take a little break.
Hi, I'm Morty Feldcash, and Schemely is a discreet financial innovation firm specializing in emotionally persuasive income strategies for underleveraged men. And I'm really excited to announce our newest offering. If you're a grown man on a weekly allowance, still asking permission to buy snacks, apps, or small dumb things that bring you joy, we see you, and we're here to help. Introducing Dadnapped. Dadnapped is our fully managed self-kidnapping solution for husbands with limited financial freedom and overly watchful spouses. Here's how it works. You go missing, and we handle the narrative. She handles the transfer. We send your wife a cryptic text from an unknown number. Maybe a low-light selfie of you in the trunk of a Nissan Altima, or a panicked voicemail, a dropped pin somewhere that she won't go after dark, and suddenly your absence has value. Included in every Dadnap package is a backdated Venmo request labeled Last Chance, a hostage photo staged in a discount tire lobby, and one convincing GPS screenshot with 3% battery remaining. With optional upgrades of a half-eaten protein bar with your wedding ring taped right to it, a single crock smeared with something ambiguous, and a voice memo of you whispering, "Please just send the money." It's not lying, it's strategic distress and financial relief. Dadnapped by Schemely, because if she controls the money, she controls the man. Time to raise your own ransom.
Somewhere between having a nosebleed and the fear of having foot fungus, I think there's a world where I might consider that product.
But I will say this. I'll say that if you have a nosebleed, you should not use your foot fungus toes to stop it.
I'm not that flexible, so never will be a problem for me.
Okay.
And I don't have foot fungus. I have a fear of foot fungus.
Okay.
I feel like I've seen some commercials recently. I'm like, why are these getting sent to my stuff?
Because you're over 40.
Oh, is that what happens to us now?
Dude, wait till the AARP shit starts coming your way. Jesus Christ.
All right.
I still run like 6 days a week, so screw you, AARP.
As time progresses in how we age, so does this disc. We are at disc 2 of the double-sided album, The Weight of These Wings by Miranda Lambert, released in 2016. And this disc is dubbed
The Heart.
As the first one was The Nerve.
Yes.
And so this opens up with a very strong 91.5 million streams on Spotify tune.
Yeah, this is the banger.
Called Tin Man.
Which is about?
I assume it's the guy who made the spoons for Spoon Man. No, I'm kidding. Wizard of Oz?
This is Wizard of Oz, 100%.
Wizard of Oz.
Right. This is her warning the Tin Man about the dangers of wanting something that can break so devastatingly.
There you go.
Such as a heart.
Oh.
Right? One of the lyrics, you don't know how lucky you are. If you ever felt one breaking, you'd never want a heart.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, if you look at first tune off of disc 1 versus disc 2, this now sounds like the album I thought I was getting into.
Yeah.
She's sitting right up front. She's singing her butt off. You buy in immediately. Mm-hmm. The production's favoring the singer.
Yeah. Yeah. I said Pushing Time is probably my favorite. This is one of the few times, I guess I'm so contrarian, that I usually don't align with the crowd favorite, but this probably is actually my favorite. This is a beautiful song. It's
upfront. It's natural. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Great tune. I mean, go to disc 2. Listen. Tell us what you think. It's
Tin
awesome.
Man, baby.
Let's scooch on to Good Old Days. This is tune number 2. And it unfortunately falls from 91 million streams down to sub 3 million.
This is, to me, a mashup of like Americana meets country.
Well, the mandolin screams that.
Yeah. This is featuring David Cobb, who is an Americana artist as well.
Yeah. It has every hallmark that I would expect from. It almost kind of brings home like it's that Appalachia style. Mm-hmm. And so you have this harmony that's sung with her the entire tune.
I said very agreeable vocal harmony.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It feels like something we know. Mm-hmm. Mandolin, for sure.
Yeah.
There's pretty good slide in here. There's great guitar playing in here. I love the characteristics of this tune through and through.
Yeah.
It's a comfortable listen.
It's very comfortable. And so far, the production has not gotten in the way of enjoying the songs.
Which is so refreshing because we spent the first half of this kind of
pissing and moaning.
Yeah. This is now feels more like a country album right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. The heart, right? The assumption that this is where she came from or what she feels deep down, all of her cumulative experience.
Yeah, I feel like the experimentation on the second disc is more around genre and playing with the genre in various genres that are coming
I don't even
there.
know that I call experimentation as much as exploration.
Sure.
She's like, look at my breadth.
Yeah.
I can really like touch on all of these things pretty freaking well.
Yeah, it's more like Harry Styles hopping through the 80s. I feel like this second disc is an exploration of different aspects of country music.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's a fun journey to take. If you had to sell like a old school, older country fan on this album, start with disc 2, unquestionably.
Yeah. She's crossing over in disc 1. She's trying to appeal to a lot of different audiences, and I think she does so very successful on a number of those tracks.
And some modern. I mean, you have to think 2016. We're going through a moment in country, mm-hmm. and what is country music, and you started to see just the very beginning of bro country,
mm-hmm.
right? A genre that I notoriously crap on, and I do not like. Modern alternative country is fine. Mm-hmm. You get in, but then it kind of crossed over to like super radio country, and then you ended up with your Morgan Wallens of the world.
Right.
She is probably in 16 helping usher in definitely some rock elements, mm-hmm. and a lot of throwback rock elements. Is I think if I look back on disc 1, a lot of throwback rock elements, and a lot of really like upfront honesty, and not a chick singing proper tunes.
Yeah,
breaking that mold out. She's really owning. She's like, oh, I ain't blaming this on no one but me.
Yeah, there's a little. I mean, it's not nowhere near as angry as this, but kind of like Alanis Morissette, just like emptying herself out.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And you can see it. I mean, Sheryl Crow did it so well that we've mentioned her plenty, and because there's a parallel.
Yeah.
And it's fun to listen to people's kind of, the rugged side, and I believe her. I mean, I wrote a note here. It says, I believe what she went through on all of this. She's got twice the balls of any of these 3 first-name parking lot princess fake rapper bro country guys. So, and I mean that. I really was, and I wrote that, I don't know, a couple days ago when I was just walking through the house, AirPods in, listening to it. And I was like, I really buy your story. And that was inspired by disc 1.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's probably a connect here. It's nice to get the traditional country side of this back, though, in disc 2, I think.
Yeah. And my complaints of disc 1 are my disappointment in what the production took away from my enjoyment of what are otherwise pretty solid tunes.
That's perfectly put.
Yeah.
That's perfectly put. All right, cool. So in this tune, the one line I'd like to highlight is the line "doing cocaine the pew where I was saved." Fantastic. That's fantastic writing.
Yep.
Earnest, scary. It backs up what I was just saying.
Yeah.
This is really nice vocal performance here.
Yep. I agree.
Let's scooch it on. We're gonna go to "Things That Break," track 3.
This is where I'm talking about the exploration, I guess, or experimentation, because this is like surf rocks meets doo-wop.
It's a really weird drum groove.
Yeah. It's a very surf-like guitar riff, but I feel like I made a sock hop, for part of this song.
Yeah.
Things That Break. Did we say the name of the song?
Yeah. Things That Break.
Things That Break. Yeah.
The guitar playing, kind of that like ringed out telly feel once again, totally there. The drum groove is a very interesting one. That's not doo-wop per se.
No.
Has this hard snare hit on 3. Mm-hmm. Almost if like you're reggaeing it.
Yeah.
It's this big open 3, like it's this kind of a funny groove, but it works.
Yeah. I agree. Again, we're exploring new territory. It still has country bones, even with everything I said. The surf rock hop sock thing, sock hop. I cannot say those words. Sock hop.
Well, surf rock sock hop. That's very challenging.
That's hard.
But you gotta. So what region would you say, if we were taking that adventure, does this pull from? Because I'm not familiar with this one.
What region of the country?
Yeah, like you have like your barbecue regions. You definitely have your country music regions too. Nashville is different than Texas is different than Memphis is different than the Appalachia stuff.
I think this is country music goes to Rydell High.
Okay, I'm into it.
Do you know what Rydell High is?
I just assume it's a high school inside of some show. I don't
Grease.
know. Grease. Thank you. Very good.
Yeah.
Some show. Yes.
Yeah.
No one puts Carl's opinions in the corner. No, it's an interesting tune.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go out of my way for this one, but I'm happy it's here.
Yeah. This is, maybe my least favorite on this disc, but it's still a good song.
Once again, production not in the way.
Yep.
No notes. This brings us over to tune number 4, appropriately titled "For the Birds."
This is an interesting track for sure.
There's a very overt reason why, but I think that there's just a lot going on too to talk about here.
Yeah. So the overt reason why is the melody
is Bobby McGee.
Pretty much, yeah.
Verbatim.
Yeah, I was getting Bobby McGee and Lucille by Kenny Rogers.
Totally.
Even though that song's in 3/4, it's that same sort of.
Is it a cadence thing? Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, think in 3/4 that'd be weird, but not. It's the way it's presented.
It's the melodic line, the way, like, I feel like this melody is always questioning. It's a questioning melody, not questioning lyrics, which is what propels the melody forward.
Okay, yeah.
Everything feels like a question, and usually when you're writing a melody, you have like a 2-bar question and a 2-bar answer. That's pretty standard. That sort of comes in melodically, and it's usually melodically and harmonically. And this one here, it keeps propelling you forward, and then you're going to go forward, and then you're going to go forward, and now I'm going forward.
Like you get that little bump of the 4 chord that kind of like refreshes you.
Yeah. I should have sang it in pitch, but that's what it is. And this to me, it's like, it feels like, I don't know if you know, like Guy Clark or Jerry Jeff Walker. They're like these Lone Star, like country people. I feel like channeling this like Texas twang with like cowgirl wisdom in this song.
That's cool.
And one of the things I like about this is there's an internal rhyme scheme that's going on here. So she like, I wrote it down here. It's like, I'm against the notion of drinking whiskey potions and causing a big commotion. Like
the ocean.
Yeah, the notion, potion, and commotion. You know, son. And it finishes with, you know, son.
There you go.
Half rhyme. But
Eminem's so proud of her right now.
Yeah. Yeah, did you see the thing on whatever where they're like, what rhymes with orange? And Eminem's like, I can rhyme anything with orange if you change the syllables around and extend it.
You can have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Look, this is a cool tune. It moves into a pretty catchy chorus.
Yeah, and there are birds in it.
Yeah. The background singers are playing as birds. They're mixed in that fashion.
Yeah.
More like the Alvin and the Chipmunks fashion, but still.
Yeah.
You get something that's almost Disney-esque about that.
Yeah, when they're singing, it's for the birds. They're like, it's like a call and response, like
They're
shout
chirping
chorus.
back, exactly.
Yeah.
There's some panning questions production-wise I'm not so hot on. There's just, this is a pretty clean-sounding song, and they bring in this mud box of an acoustic and hard left.
Yep.
It just like drowns you out in the first verse, and once you get to the chorus, it's pretty much settled. But you got to be really careful when you're layering sound sources, and you add in a next sound source and the next sound source. Each one of them is fighting for sonic control, right? Or frequency control of a certain region of the song. And one complaint I have about the entire album, both discs, is like, you could pull out half these guitars, guys. There's just too much at times. And this is a great song where you could be deductive. You could snip away at some of these parts and still get the effect, if not better, with a more comfortable listen.
Yeah, I saw a clip of her playing live. It was Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Sure.
And the band, there were like 6 guitar players.
Yeah, like who needs that crap?
Right. Like unless they're not fighting for the space. Like, and we've talked about this in bands we've been in. I've talked about this in bands where I have 2 guitar players, and they're like, all right, well, we both learned the song. I'm like, did you learn the same part or did you learn an alternate part? And they're like, what do you mean, drummer? I'm like, well, what chord are you playing? I'm playing a C chord. Where are you playing it?
First position.
All right. Somebody needs to play it in another position.
You got third, you got eighth, you got plenty of them.
Yep.
Fifth. Like
right. You can't play the exact same chord in the same spot. Otherwise, you have to play precisely together the exact same part.
In which case, get a chorus pedal.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, you can just pay 6 guitar players. Like, why? This from the efficient. I make money only with music now. Like, trust me, my most valuable players. Like, I barely hire anybody who doesn't do 2 things. Yep. Barely.
Right.
Like, you better be way better at your instrument than me if you're being called in to soul something.
Right.
Like, at least sing a harmony.
Right.
Show me you can play a tambourine while you play a drum.
Yeah.
My boy Drew will come out sing the harmony that no one wants to sing, play saxophone and keys and hand percussion all at once. The value in Drew Dorner. Props to that kid.
Yeah. So you gave me a hard time for mentioning Matt Chamberlain and Edie Brickell. So I'm going to make another reference that you've said I make a reference to every episode, which I have not, but I'm going to do it here, is I'm going to bring up Kiss. And here's why. It goes back to the conversation of guitar parts. And one of the things that was a core tenet of them when they started off is we want to sound like one massive guitar. So Paul Stanley and Ace really make sure that they worked out the guitar parts that they were never playing the same position. Maybe if it's a riff, they might do that. But
but you end up getting a 12-note chord,
right,
which sounds like a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, I take nothing away from Kiss. You just love Kiss so much.
I did.
Yeah. Oh, I did.
Well, I reckon I still love them with all my heart because of my past with them. I don't listen to them very often.
That's how I am with 311.
Right.
They'll always be like my heart band.
Yeah.
But like I don't need to listen to them. I haven't listened to their new album. You know, a friend invited me onto their tour and I can't go for this summer.
Yeah.
It really did its part. It shaped me into who I am. I'll forever be thankful. I will always love this.
Yep.
I am right there with you. We all have a group like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, scooching on. We're going to move over from For the Birds to the incredibly upbeat song "Well Rested." I couldn't even get it out. What is the BPM on this? 38?
Yeah, or 3.8. It is.
This is, I mean, it's called Well Rested. So, I mean, the tempo and the title are absolutely in cahoots.
Yeah, this is a slow, like 6/8. Like you could, I heard someone say this is a waltz. I kind of get that. It's actually 6/8, but it's
you could totally waltz to it.
Yeah, you could box step for sure.
My God. So look, besides the tempo being absolutely dirt slow, and the reason we perseverate on this is it's really hard to play that slow, guys. Like, you'd have to subdivide that click twice for me in order for me to be accurate, or you abandon the click altogether. No,
Right.
you're not playing to a metronome is what I'm saying. But my God, she is leaning into this song, and they all did. I mean, good musical performances across the board.
Yeah, and I don't know if there is a metronome on this.
Might not be.
I feel like the tempo fluctuates. No shade, it just is. And I love like the tremolo and the guitar on this one. It just
totally fits.
Yeah.
This is a gorgeous ballad. You'll know we really like songs on this album when we say less about them.
yeah, they're really good, and I feel like you really get her vocal chops in this one.
Yeah.
You know, she's showcased throughout this whole thing, but she's not a belter by any stretch or anything like that, but she definitely has technique and ability, and she shapes her voice and very intentionally. She'll go in and out of her accent.
She's kind of a chameleon. You think about like what makes each the musician special, right? And you go, okay, so like you look at like an Adele, and it's these long, gorgeous, perfect intonation, powerful, things, or you can go look at kind of like the spoken authenticity and the rasp of like a Sheryl Crow type player.
Mm-hmm.
What she does so well is she can kind of play the whole field.
Yeah.
And she's never off. Like, and bad vocal performance on this album, as you've noted.
Yeah.
And so I think if she was auditioning for something, like she needs to, this would be like, I'm going to give this to Broadway and show them what I can do. It's a really nice performance.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that she, like, there's a lot of effects on this album. The album's drenched in reverb. I bet they're not nudging too much with Melodyne on this.
I don't think you have to with her. And I have seen her live stuff before. Mm-hmm. There's a reason she's goated, like
yeah, she is the most decorated female country star of all time.
Yeah, and it's not on dad's money or something. It's she put in the freaking work.
Yeah,
and not to take away anything, but the power couple Blake Shelton thing did not hurt. I mean, if you were handed that baton, you run with it, and she did. I mean, she was able to get that, and I'd still believe that in this album, the departure from him, she feels like she has something to prove. I don't think you throw out a double album otherwise.
No. Again, this is Here, My Dear, except cohesive and intelligible, and
yeah, I hate that we compared it to it, but I'm with you. I mean, you have a really crazy talent on an album that might not be like their hallmark.
She might not have been on as much Charlie as
oh my God.
as poor Marvin Gaye.
Something tells me she had the money to pay for the divorce.
Yeah.
Let's scooch over to song number 6.
One other thing on Well Rested.
I'm so sorry. Please.
One other thing on Well Rested. This song showcases, if you ever go to jazz school, you ever go to something like that.
Oh yeah.
This song showcases what they refer to as a deceptive resolution. And all that is normally when you're harmonizing a song, eventually you want to land on the one chord.
To put it to bed.
Yep. And a great way to extend a phrase harmonically is instead of resolving to the 1, you resolve to the minor 6. And it's kind of like baby's first reharmonization kind of what you learn.
Know these 5 tricks.
Yeah. And I'm not crapping on this at all, but it's also very idiomatic of country.
Yeah.
It fits there perfectly, but as you go through and you listen, especially to the end, it does this minor 6 resolution, which is kind of tricking your ear.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It's pleasant and everything like that, but it's just like, I remember when the first time I learned about this and then heard it, and now I can never unhear it. So there you go.
There it is. kind of like the subdominant thing that all the guys in gospel are doing now. You know,
Yep.
yeah, a couple of these little fun tricks that you learn, and it's great. I think the biggest use here is like a 4-5-6, 4-5-1. You can extend that phrase.
Yep.
Cool trick. Yeah, let's scooch over to Tomboy. I haven't been blurting out the numbers on this album very much because they all kind of live in the same zone on Spotify. Tin Man, almost 92 million listens. After that, nothing breaks 6 million. They're all kind of just sitting under the cusp. They're all in the millions, but 3, 2, 2, 2, 6, 5. So Tomboy, 2.5 mil. And this is halfway through our second disc. Wow. We're putting through it today.
We are.
I think this is a cute pop song with good instrumentals.
Yeah, this is Learning to Fly by Jewel.
It does sound like it was produced in like the style of a la 1998, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds like G-Love and Special Sauce got his hands on it initially.
Yeah.
I don't have too much to say about this tune.
No, I think, well, I have a couple things. So the chorus, you get Sheryl Crow vibes for sure. And she has two backup singers on this one, Gwen Sebastian and Maddie Diaz. And the harmonies together when they start, moving through this thing are just fantastic.
Yeah, they're a real flex on like, hey, look at our musicianship. Because there's definitely the stripped back production on this really goes to show there's not a lot of auto-tune you can hide behind. Now, mind you, in 2016, we have it. We can really hide stuff in Melodyne well, but you hear the perfect imperfection as well of this nice classic stack of country vocals.
Yeah, and I think, ironically, the song Tomboy, it may be the most feminine song on the album.
It sounds that way.
Yeah.
It's kind of soft-spoken.
Yep.
It doesn't sound tomboy. I do have a little bit of an identity crisis with this one.
Okay.
Because I don't feel like she's like leaning into the role.
Okay.
But it's if you feel differently.
No, I like the song mostly because I just think that the 3-part harmonies are just beautiful.
It's a pretty tune. Nothing prolific here.
Yeah. And I like Learning to Fly too, so.
All right, let's scooch on over to Learn Her.
For me, this song is actually an ultimate flex because we both agreed off mic on this. This is like George Strait.
Yeah.
Like classic vintage golden era George Strait, like down the middle, proving that she can just be a country girl singing a country song.
Hell yeah. My notes just went, I fell off my bar stool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carl's favorite song.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
Very
It's my
cool.
favorite song on the entire work.
Yeah, it's a nice little 6 song. I say George Strait. It's like George Strait meeting Tammy Wynette from a vocal performance perspective with a seasoning of Dolly Parton.
Yeah, she sounds so good.
Yeah.
I mean, just if you're looking for vocal prowess, between Here and Well Rested are like where I feel like you can really find some of her wonderful, sincere, this is who you are moments. Now, I know she like, her whole thing is like, I'm honest about who I am. Who you are and how you feel about yourself in a moment are one image. And I think we got a lot of that in disc 1. Mm-hmm. If this is who she is at her core, I'm buying in.
Yeah. And the other thing I like is the guitarist is kind of tracing her melody like perfectly. Like this is like masterclass classic country.
It's just a great song.
Yeah.
It has every right to be on here. And this is the one I'll listen to again. It's just so fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't say much more about it. It's kind of perfect.
Yeah.
And the production's great.
Yep.
Keeper of the Flame. It was going so well.
Yep. We're laughing because we had a moment. So between when we took the break and everything, we refresh our ears and the song came on.
Scroll through like 20, 30 seconds real quick for the ones we need to hear again. Yeah. And Dan goes, can you guess which mashup I think this is? Mm-hmm. And I nailed half of it.
You did? Yeah, the first half.
So I said, it sounds like Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson.
Yep. Meets Use Somebody by Kings of Leon.
There it is.
Yeah.
And if you look at the timetable for 16, not far off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both songs quite like still. I mean, I think Kelly was probably earlier. Kings of Leon was definitely, they're both earlier, but could pull the influence from these. Like they're well-known tunes in the mid-teens.
Yeah, I feel like those were like 2009, 2010, that time.
Yep.
But they were still...
Oh, no, you're still hearing that Kings of Leon, and you're still hearing both of them at bars on the jukebox type thing.
Yeah, and to me, it's the verse is Since You've Been Gone.
Yes, and then...
And the chorus goes into Use Somebody.
And that drum groove really lending towards a lot of it. Anthematic for sure. Missed opportunity a little bit on the sense that they could have done like a whoa track a la Kings of Leon or like that millennial whoop thing.
Yeah.
But to me, I can't shake it. It just sounds like contemporary Christian rock to me. Even the words "Keeper of the Flame." Tell me some megachurch hasn't covered this song under the guise of just trying to produce it.
Oh, I am sure. I'm sure. Yeah, this is more of an empowerment song, but the thing is, they actually do a little bit of that whoa. The problem is that the producer decided to like bury it and hide it.
Yeah, here's a song that I'm not too super keen on the production. This has disc 1 vibes back to me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I can live without it. But it was fun to kind of find some of those Easter eggs there.
Yeah.
Let's scooch on over to Bad Boy, track number 9.
She likes bad boys.
I heard. You know what I like? Well-mic'd drums. Here they are.
Yeah, and this features, I mentioned it before, like this country funk beat.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Allman Brothers almost. Like you have the looseness of being able to go into the jammy thing without losing your country roots. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's kind of funky.
Yeah.
And then you end up with overall actually a really good rhythm section, I think, because of it. Because your core is good, it's funky and loose in a good way.
Yeah. And actually, this is where the vocals are not perfect in this one, which is nice. It's fine.
Fine by me.
Yeah. Because she's pretty impeccable for the rest of this album. And this one's a little bit, I don't know, lanky.
Yeah. And you could tell she's trying a style. Mm-hmm. And maybe this isn't her style. And I'm okay with it because the song is absolutely has a really great chorus.
Yeah.
I love the chorus in this tune. I think like that solidifies it, sells it as super comfortable. Definitely deserves its spot on this album.
Yeah, this is a concert song.
Unfortunately, stupid intro.
Yeah, so she does this. This happens often, and there's ways to do it right and wrong. And the way to do it right is to actually mess up. So the song starts off, the band starts, and she's like, "Wait a minute, what's the intro?" And the band just continues playing.
Then that's why I'm calling BS on it didn't happen.
Feels staged.
Or you said that, and then they thought it was cute, and they threw it in over the band still playing a perfect groove later.
Yeah, so this is not the intro to Good Riddance by Green Day.
Great intro.
Right.
Or John getting mad at the end of They Call Me the Breeze.
Right, yeah.
That's where it ends.
Yeah.
Like literally yelling.
Yep. Yep.
Take that out, and you got a significantly better song.
Yeah.
And I'll keep the vocal through it. It's great.
Yeah.
Document that.
Yeah.
Grow, learn. Getting down to the last bits here. 6 degrees of separation.
So here's a place where I love the bass intro.
Yes.
Growly.
The whole thing's rocky.
Yeah.
Like rock.
Yes. This is now Courtney Love enters the equation.
Now here's what I will say. Regardless of our comments on her vocal style on the previous song, there's no way they didn't detune one of those vocal doubles at the beginning. You know she doubles perfectly.
Yeah.
You know she does.
Right.
They had to have screwed with that.
Yeah.
To get that really yucky, type of thing. It's a cool effect. I'm glad it's there, but 0% chance someone who sings as well as her could poorly double herself to that rate, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe she was so perfect that there were phase problems.
Probably. I've had those issues with people who are just like, they can sing that same part 10 times. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And she strikes me as studio worthy.
Yeah. I remember years ago, we were recording sax parts with our friend Evan, and he was so well intonated with the saxophone, it sounded like an accordion, unless you...
It was really wild. Yeah.
Like, can you just like bite your embouchure a little bit and just like...
Screw your reed up a little bit.
Yeah.
Give me that.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is one of the places on the album that I do think the overdrive vocals do work. It absolutely serves the song. And ironically, on a heavier song, they have less overdrive than they do on lighter songs earlier.
Right. Yeah.
The balance is there.
Yeah, it works. And that's why that's why the Courtney Love, I mean, there's that attitude and it's the doubling.
The doubling. I mean, they had to double Courtney for different reasons. But
Yeah. They did.
but
I bet you holes on this list.
probably.
Yeah. Celebrity Skin.
Hopefully it's sitting in the 4s. I'll give it credit where credit's due. It also, just because Rolling Stone notoriously are such Nirvana,
Right.
absolute fanboys, they're gonna get their yell.
Yeah. Well, I think that album was good without Nirvana, but yeah,
I don't think that album happens without Nirvana.
correct.
So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
One way or another, I think the influence is there. I do hear a little bit. I think you mentioned Garbage at one point in time. Shirley Manson's outfit, and big fan. The great band.
Yeah.
This is cool. I'm surprised that this one made its way to disc 2, the more traditional feeling disc, whereas it would have probably fit up top in disc 1 fine.
Yeah, this is her. She's like trying to get out of New Orleans, going to New York or something like that, and she's just hoping like the travel schedule will make her forget about her man.
I think we have a similar production note here, which is, there's this grit, there's this pretty decent bass. There's a kick drum that could be a little more chipped up, but the rhythm section is good. Once again, though, it falls victim to this like kind of muddy wall of guitars, especially during the chorus. Too much data.
Yep.
Tell you what I'd really like to do on this one. I'd love to hear Grace Potter take a shot at this thing with her band.
Oh yeah.
How good would that be?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like really like soulful. Like this just seems like right down her lane, doesn't it?
Yeah. Again, I don't think the band is doing a bad job.
No, it's just stacking, layering, sonic space.
Yeah. I was saying off mic that I can't remember who the producer of Harry's House was, but even though we've talked on that one and in the episode on Fine Line, which hopefully you guys listened to during the break, we kind of tease like they're using all the tools, but they use them expertly.
Oh, it's really a masterclass in production.
Yeah.
And here it seems like the more rocky and modern they try and get is when they actually fall off. Because the traditional country stuff on here
Sounds great.
sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
They know their bag there. It's when they try and edge it up, it's just how to use those tools is a perfect way to put it, man.
Yeah.
Anything else on this?
No,
All right, last two. Dear Old Son.
it's a pretty little song.
It's a pretty little song. It's gospel-y.
Yep. Yeah, she's sending a prayer skyward. Got some Southern soul mixed in there with gospel. It's a nice little love song to the morning.
This fits the whole box of like the musicianship is there. Here's the proof. It's stripped back. It's really some nice guitar playing on here,
Absolutely.
and not too much else. And an incredibly pleasant song.
Yeah.
Kind of a weird placement after 6 Degrees, right?
It is, but I feel like this is the wind up to the outro. I do love there's some like double stacked harmonies on this one that sound phenomenal.
If you sang chorus or a pentatonic C type fan or just love a good stack of harmonies, go here first.
Yes,
you will not be
fantastic.
disappointed.
Fantastic.
I can imagine. I mean, this song, this and a couple others are so good they could be acapellaed,
Yeah,
and this is one I would probably choose for that.
I agree. Yeah, I think this is I'm winding up to swing to get me out of this 24
Experience.
song. Yeah.
Well, that brings us lastly to I've Got Wheels.
Right. She drives in basically. I mean, she's running just in case. She becomes a highway vagabond and now she's got wheels.
Maddie.
I'm out of here.
And so this is the looking to the future,
Yeah.
easy cut to the credits as her car speeds down the highway.
Yeah.
And it has all the hallmark elements you'd look for in that kind of experience. Great way to wrap up. I think that you have a great drum groove. Unfortunately, I think you have way too many guitars again.
There's a good guitar solo.
There's a great guitar solo. There's a couple good solos on this album.
Yeah.
I think your wall of guitars, your Spectre guitars, are just a little much.
Yep.
There's also this one pattern I'm not so fond of in here. It's kind of like that reggae triplet thing, like
Yeah.
that goes on a few times. I'm like, that don't believe in here. The only reason I could ever hear someone playing that in here is if they're trying to mimic the sound of trying to turn a car over, like the engine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, she got wheels.
She has wheels.
She does.
Hopefully 4, maybe 2.
Yeah. Either way.
She's getting out of here.
Yeah.
Any last remarks on this song?
No, it's just a nice like open-ended close to the album.
Yeah, an open close, as we might.
Yeah.
Whew, 24 songs, 2 discs, and Lord knows how many Grammys and CMAs and things like that sitting behind her. 70, right?
Yeah.
Up in the 70s. Does this album land for you as a top 500 submission?
I've done a lot of complaining about this album, about the production of this. I will say every time I had to, as we're preparing for this, we have to listen. So every time I had to listen, I looked forward to listening to it in spite of my gripes. I feel like there are enough songs on here that like hit me in the right spot that I find it actually quite enjoyable. And yeah, I feel like the production robs me of some of that joy, but I think Miranda's crushing it on this album. Even the songs that are maybe otherwise filler, there's really not a bad track on this album. So does it belong on Rolling Stone's list? I suppose if you're going to take the tack of they have to put Miranda Lambert on, why not give you the sampler pack? Because it's a double album. I guess that's why. I don't know her catalog well enough to be able to dictate whether, like with Bonnie Raitt, I feel like they picked a great album, but they picked the wrong album. Mm-hmm. So I can't judge otherwise. So knowing nothing else, I guess it does. And I like the album.
Okay. Somewhat different approach.
Okay.
I too like the album. I like Miranda more than I like the album.
Okay.
I don't know enough about Miranda.
Right.
This album will spark me to now listen to Miranda. I'm hesitant to go one way or another, but I understand I fully have to. Because I think that there's probably some of these experimental moments that are different. I suspect that if you were to look at her catalog prior to this, a lot of it's more kind of boxed, in the vein, Ain't Easy. And who's to say there's not an absolutely delicious album there that should have made the cut? I appreciate the efforts, though I agree with you entirely on the production. If you had to strip it down to one disc, you do have enough to make one good disc here. Mm-hmm. So with that said, I am hesitantly agreeing with you in putting this on the top 500, assuming this is the single Miranda Lambert moment.
Yeah. That's my assumption too.
Yeah, it would be a safe one, I think. I will listen to more.
Yeah. I listened to her 2024 album, which hasn't really taken off, but the production problems are not there.
Got it. Well, that was a heck of a journey.
It was.
Way to open up season 2, Butter.
Yeah.
So as you join us here, just to kind of reiterate, we're doing 20 episode seasons. Mm-hmm. So this one will carry us well into the winter, all through summer. We've looked ahead a couple for once because we've decided it's what we need to do in order to schedule and make sure that we can produce these and get them out to you every single Tuesday. And my God, there's a crazy kind of like variety of music coming up.
A cornucopia.
A cornucopia is a fine word. And definitely some stuff I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And so we hope if you're listening along with us, that you will continue to engage with us. We've really enjoyed the talks that we get to have on social media and email and with our friends who catch up with us on this. If you haven't, we invite you to listen along. It's kind of fun, pop that album in before you hear our episode, have some opinions. You certainly don't have to deep dive as hard as we do, but man, it's a whole different experience, my friends say, when they start listening to an album.
Yeah.
With us.
And in case you don't know, if you're not following us on Instagram at Backwards Beats Podcast, every Sunday before the episode, I tease what the next album is going to be. And I'm about to tell you what the next album is going to be anyway right now.
Which is?
Amor Probajito by Selena.
Selena! Like
Sí.
From the movies?
See.
See. Oh, man. This is going to be great. Talk about an album I honestly would never have considered touching.
And you know what's nice? Only 12 tracks on this one.
Well, with that said, we've really enjoyed breaking in this new season with you. Always thankful to our listeners, our fan base, our wonderful advertisers. And we look forward to spending the rest of 2025 in your ears.
Agreed.
We'll see you later.
That was the show about the album The Weight of These Wings by Miranda Lambert. Experimental country songs that need some new production. Woo!
Backwards Beats Podcast is a Tuna-Wood production recorded live at Thought Shack Studios in Halethorpe, Maryland.
If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can find us at Backwards Beats Podcast on most platforms.
Share the love, and we'll see you next week for another deep dive into the next album on Rolling Stone Magazine's Top 500 list. Until then, salt your melons.